what's going on, guys? It's your boy Corboy. We're back at it again today with a new video. And today we have a little bit of a topic I've been wanting to do for a little while, something I've wanted to talk about a little bit involving Halo. So of course we're going to be playing some Halo Infinite because we are almost done with Operation Fleetcom. And then after we finish this, who knows, we might go do some MCC videos and do some conversations involving old school Halo. But anyway, today, the thing I wanted to talk about is something, like I said, I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I just really haven't had the time to, because there's so much stuff that we've had to cover in the last couple of weeks. Plus, I've been a little bit busy, but that's besides the point. But today, I wanted to talk about something really particular, and I kind of talked about it yesterday when I did the video. Well, no, not yesterday, but I think it was the day before, talking about the possibility of the whole Combat Evolved remake / remaster, reboot, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The biggest thing that I want to talk about is not involving that directly. It's actually, I want to talk more in depth with the next iteration of Halo. Rather, it's called Halo 7 or Halo Infinite 2. Whatever. It could have a weird fucking name. We don't know yet, but we'll see what happens whenever it gets here. Because I think that game should have some expectations. And I have been critical of this game in the past, of Infinity, despite how much I love the game and how much I enjoy it and play it. The game has its moments where it falls kind of flat. And I will say that that's actually the case with any game. They all have their points where you're like, damn, I really hope they improve off of that in the back end whenever it comes to the next title. And I do want to talk a little bit about that today, because there are some things in this game that are a little bit detrimental to the lifespan of a Halo title. Now, the biggest one, the one I'm going to knock out the first, if we look right here in this section of game modes, you can see we have quite a few. We have, you know, the new mode VIP, that's like the big one right now. Big team battle, squad battle, infection, rumble pit, quick play, doubles, everything. Even firefight is right here. The biggest thing that I want to talk about is it's kind of like how it was released when Halo Infinite came out. If you guys don't remember, when Halo Infinite came out, I think we had a total of 5 modes, if I'm not mistaken. It was not many. There wasn't even like a match composer, so you couldn't even pick the types of modes that you wanted to play. So, for example, if you didn't want to play objective modes and you just wanted to play yourself some good old Team Slayer or BR Slayer, you had to just hope you fucking got it. And I do hope that's something that we don't see in the next Halo. I really doubt we will, because they got a lot of flack for it, and I understand why. Because it is definitely not acceptable, especially in a series as old as Halo, where each game on release has had a lot of modes, a lot of different things that you can go out of your way and play really whenever you want to. And I do hope that we don't ever see that issue happen again with the next iteration of Halo, because it is just not good for the game. It doesn't give people the free will to play the modes that they want to play. And I always think that, especially since Match Composer has came out, it's gave people a lot of direction of like, okay, well, these are the modes that people are playing the most. These are the ones people are playing the least. Let's try modes that are in this style, but maybe something a little bit different. I also think that another thing that would really help the next game is something like map voting. I have been talking about that for a while. There are certain maps in this game that I just don't feel like I get to play that fucking much, that I actually really enjoy. For example, last night when me and Andrew were running our ranked games to get our placements, we managed to finally get recharged for one of our games, and we were both there like, holy shit, we've never got this map in doubles. Or not in doubles, I think it was, I fucking forget which mode it was that we were playing. Maybe it was doubles, and I'm just like completely misinterpreting this. But we were both like super excited because we just never get to see that fucking map, and we both really enjoyed that map. We just never get to see it. So I do hope that is something that they do add into the next Halo, where you can, you know, vote the maps you want to play, because not only do I think that's just like really good for, you know, playing a variety of maps, but it also gives them an idea of the maps that people do like and the maps that people don't like, which I think is very much needed in any multiplayer setting of a game. And I guess we are going to talk a little bit more about multiplayer as we go into this, because I do want to talk about the campaign side of things and just the game in general. But after that, the biggest thing that I want to talk about that is, to me, a big thing within Halo Infinite, something that has been talked about quite a bit, mostly because it's a significant down from Halo 5. Now, if you played Halo 5, you will remember that Halo 5 had a pretty insane sandbox. It had a lot, and I mean a lot, of fucking weapons, because of the things like rec packs that came with, like gave like the special version of weapons, but also there was just, in general, a fuckload of weapons in that game, from weapons that were for the Forerunner, human weapons, and then, of course, the average Covenant weapons that were in the game as well. One thing I don't enjoy too much about this game is the lack of a sandbox and how small it is. Of course, I'm not complaining because I do think where the sandbox lacks, it also allows for a lot of really good things. I feel like one thing about Halo Infinite that I've always loved about this game since getting into playing it is every weapon feels like it has its own resourcefulness. They all have their own different curves to them to like pick up and try. They all have a different purpose. Whether it's in ranking, you're using mostly precision weapons, or you're playing just casual matchmaking and you're using all the different kinds of weapons that are within the game. I feel like a small sandbox has definitely helped in that way. In fact, the biggest thing that I can kind of compare it to is like Halo 3 sandbox, which has a fairly small sandbox. Um, but there are some weapons that are definitely missing that I would just love to see come back. One I've talked about quite a bit that I would just love to see. I would like to see an SMG back in Halo. I feel like with how this game plays, how the gunplay feels, and especially how the health system works, because it feels more a little bit like traditional Halo to a degree. But I would kill for an SMG to be in this game because I feel like it would be so fucking good. And I will say this, I do feel like with this new AR update, because I did talk about it a little bit yesterday, I feel like the AR is kind of like an SMG in this game a little bit, and I love it for that. It's really fun, but I would love to see like a traditional SMG, like the ones that we had in Halo 5 and games prior to that. I think to me it would just add more fun, more variety in what people are using. I've also said it a couple times, as much as I do love the skewer, one thing I would love to see is a weapon like the binary rifle again. Something that's maybe not directly the binary rifle, but something that's kind of like that is just insane. But the binary rifle had a lot of really cool elements that I think really changed how Halo was played, especially when it comes to sniping in Halo. And, well, I love that personally a lot. I'm a huge fan of that weapon. It's one of my favorite in Halo history. It adds for more diversity, and I think the skewer kind of took that spot, of course, and I don't expect to see the binary rifle because it does seem like they're very focused on currently the Master Chief and the Banished storyline, because I wouldn't be surprised if the next game took place on Zeta Halo, which I do hope it does, because it's a really cool Halo ring. But I would like to see more weapons in the sandbox. I would like to see more than just what we got, because there is clearly room for improvement when it comes to the sandbox in this game. It's just with the goods, with the bads, there's also goods, and it's, you know, it's like that in every fucking game. You know, you have weapons that are significantly better than others, some that are not so great. But like in this game, it feels like every weapon kind of has and serves its own purpose, which is something I've always really liked about it. The next thing I would love to see is something that's a little bit more polished upon release. I mean, that's a given at this point. I think people have talked about. But when I say polished, I mean a game that has a proper like dev time. If you guys don't know the story of Halo Infinite's like development time, or the things that have happened whenever the game was in development, there was a lot of issues, a lot of weird things going on at 343 with Microsoft not wanting to hire actual developers, and they were hiring contractors. So like, as soon as someone would get used to using the new engine that this game was made upon, they would be switched out with someone else who doesn't know as much about that said engine. It caused a lot of weirdness, and I do think that's actually part of where some of Halo Infinite's issues come from. You very much notice it, especially if you've been playing for a while. You're like, wow, yeah, it does feel like just like a bunch of different people who didn't necessarily know what they were going for yet decided to make a game. It's very odd, and I do hope we don't see that issue come again, and I don't think we do. It seems like 343 is really focused on rebuilding and kind of, you know, catching up loose ends within Halo Infinite, which is something I've, you know, constantly said that I really respect. They just didn't give up on the game. I don't know how that shot didn't hit. But I'm very happy that they didn't just like give up on this game and say, fuck it, let it die, and then we'll make the next one. I'm very happy that they've tried to keep it up and actually add content to it, make it worthwhile to play, and I've been saying that for a while. But actually, the one thing I do want to talk about that is, I think, very much in the conversation of things that could happen is, how would you all... I personally, like, wouldn't be complaining if we got a Halo title that didn't have a multiplayer, and it was just campaign-focused, kind of like Halo 3 ODST, where it was no multiplayer, it just had a campaign and firefight. And I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to that. I absolutely loved that about Halo 3 ODST, because it gave a lot of time to really focus on the story of that game and how it progressed, how it felt when you were playing it. The game felt very seamless and added like a big world to Halo that we hadn't really got to see. And personally, if they decided in the next game to not have a multiplayer, I wouldn't necessarily be mad. Now, of course, I know there's people who are going to be upset about that because there's people who love Halo multiplayer, and shit, I'm one of them. I play this stuff every day, and I would not give a shit. I'd be like, yeah, cool, they're giving us a banging-ass Halo story. Of course, I have seen people also talking to like, yeah, we don't want the open world aspect of Halo Infinite back. I get it to a degree, but also I really wouldn't mind if they just expanded upon Halo Infinite's open world system. You know, with like new biomes, maybe things that will occur like weather and shit like that, which was something that was talked about whenever the game was originally in development of something that would be in the game. Just ended up not happening. But overall, when it comes to the next Halo game, the next iteration of Halo, there's a lot to be talked about. A lot of things that I think people want to see. A lot of things that we want to see fixed. A lot of things that should be I guess for lack of better terms, just expected of the game. Of course, I have stated some of those things, some of which I'm not really like too harping on, like for example, a bigger sandbox. If they wanted to keep the whole smaller sandbox structure, which kind of has always been a thing with Halo, is not having the super like a super big sandbox. Like if you all played Halo back in the day, those games didn't have massive sandbox. Like there was it was not like convoluted as shit. I think the only game that really was Halo 5 to a degree, and I know that was something that people did complain about a lot, but then people were like, no, we need that back because it gave a lot of weapons and a lot of choice, but it was like, okay, but when that was out, you all didn't like it. It's a weird thing, dichotomy of gamers. You know how it fucking is. I talk about it all the time because we see it in a lot of different games of like, people complaining about one thing, they're like, okay, we'll fix it for this game, and they're like, no, go back to the old thing, and it's like, well, you all hated it the first time, what the fuck? So, things like that I'm not going to complain about, but I think having a Halo, personally, again, that is only centered by a campaign and no multiplayer could be a huge drastic thing, or who knows, maybe give us a different multiplayer experience and not just a traditional arena arcadey shooter style. There's a lot that you could do and a lot of things that could be tried out that would be very cool, I think. I mean, I know people have been talking about it and people said they wanted it months ago, and I don't know if it's still in discussion, but I think it'd be cool to see is a game where you're playing as the Helljumpers, but it's done kind of like Helldivers in a way, where it's like a squad of 4 go in and try to defeat, you know, these like Covenant bosses or the Flood or whatever it may be. I am personally all here for that. I think that shit would be so fucking cool and very fun to play, especially set in the Halo universe where we haven't really got to see anything on the Helljumpers in a while, at least in the form of a game. I would love to see that. To me, that would be like one of the best things that Halo could do right now because people have been asking for it, and I think the fans kind of deserve it at this point. Like, I feel like the people have spoken and said, hey, we want more games that are outside of the Master Chief story, and personally, I'm here for it. Give me more games that aren't just centered around Chief. As much as I love Chief and his story, it's not the only thing that we need. Like, there's more to it than this, and I'm all here for that, personally. What the fuck did I just do? There was so much happening right there between those two that I was, like, genuinely kind of thrown off. But, of course, that does lead me to say, what do y'all want to see in the next Halo series, the next game, the next iteration? Of course, like I said, we do have that whole rumor going around about the Halo Combat Evolved. Remake, remaster, whatever the fuck they're going to call it. There's a lot going on with that. Who knows if it's going to happen? Who knows if it will? There's also the conversations of 343 possibly not being on the direct dev side of Halo, but being more of like a publisher, which that's a whole other thing, a whole different topic, because, well, that means who is going to be the team that develops these games. And, you know, how is that going to affect the kinds of games that we get? Are we going to see a drastic style of change? For example, like how we did when 343 originally came out with Halo 4 and 5, when it changed a lot of Halo's art style and a lot of how Halo played. As much as I do enjoy those games, I do get curious of which direction we are going with the next Halo title, because, well, I just want to know. As someone who plays this series as much as I do and makes content on it, I'm always excited to know what is coming for the future. Are we going to get something that isn't directly following the Master Chief story? Are we going to see something that's from the sidelines, or maybe touch up on some other characters? I was actually recently talking about it with one of my friends, and he said he would love to see a game that's based around the Spartan 1 program with Johnson, and I'm like, that would be fucking cool. Now, who knows if we would ever get that? I highly doubt it, but it would be really cool to see. So, that's where we're going to end it here. What do you all want to see in the next Halo title? And other than that, though, guys, I'm going to hop out of here. Of course, tonight I should be live, so you can stop by. There's a link below to come watch me stream, and you can come say hi, you can come hang out, play some Halo with us, or you can just watch me be an absolute dumbass. Other than that, though, I love you all, and I will see you later.